Hello, everyone. Let me know if you have my audio and everything is fine. I think we're live. I just finished my run. I saw this comment by Raven in the live chat. Am I live, guys? Can you guys hear me? I think I'm live. Yes, I'm live. I saw this comment by Raven in the live chat. This is awesome. I don't know if you guys know, we already have an Islamic and a Christian/Jewish version of this. We were looking, Chopin was looking for a Hindu version, and Raven came up with it. So Raven is saying in the live chat, hello everyone, remember to destroy that like button like your Shiva and it's your job. That is perfect. Susanna's here too. So Susanna, take note. This is the Hindu version of this. So the Islamic version was remember to slap the like button like his Quran 434. Now the Hindu version is remember to destroy the like button like your Shiva and it's your job. This is beautiful. Thank you so much, Raven, for that. Okay, I see Mars in the live chat. I see Vikram in the live chat. I see Susanna. I see Shobham. Everyone. Oh, and also the Christian version was no Shobham. I like the Shiva better. The Shiva is better. So, but that's okay. Susanna is saying first question: what is your opinion on polyamory? Is it progressive or selfish? Why is it selfish? I think do what works for you. Yeah, I mean, do whatever works for you, but just know the potential consequences and do some investigation on whether it works for you. Just because it works for some people doesn't mean that it's going to work for you, I think. And just because it didn't work for some people, it doesn't mean that it's not going to work for you. Maybe it's going to be the best thing for you, right? But maybe it's not. I do suggest that if you are going to try to experiment with these things like this, wait. And if you really value your relationship that you have right now, maybe wait 5 years until you do stuff like that. Like you have to have some level of security with your significant other, and both of you are completely on the same page on this. And you are so certain about how solid the relationship is to know that not, like stuff like this is not going to threaten it, then I think, yeah, go for it. I do think most people are not going to be mature enough to deal with jealousy and consequences. So for most people, it might not work. But the people that are mature enough and understanding enough and secure enough with their relationship, I think it's fine. For both sides, I think. Why is it greedy? Okay, so Susanna. Okay, wait. I should have highlighted the comment that Susanna was referring to here. Where is it? That was Susanna's comment question, and then she's saying some people think it's selfish, like it's greedy. Well, I mean, greedy is fine unless you're greedy about things that are not harmful. I mean, greedy. I mean, it's what greedy is just another way of saying you want more things that the problem with greed is that you're becoming so obsessed with something that you forget why you're actually going after something, and it doesn't become about actually achieving happiness. It becomes about pursuing something for the sake of pursuing it, right? Like that the part of the I don't know if you guys know the book Little Prince, where the guy was collecting stars to make money off of the stars so he could have enough money to buy more stars so he could use the stars to make money off of the stars, right? Like you forget what the whole point is. But I think it's fine to want more. I mean, the whole point of life is to be happy. There's nothing wrong with going after more happiness. Hi Fanny. Fanny is here, guys. Remember to check Fanny's YouTube channel. It's really good. Especially the interview I did with her. That's the best video she has. Yes, you did, but you can follow up on any. Yeah, I mean, we just started, so it's fine. Vikram saying, have you seen the TikTok video where these teenagers mock black people? It's been viral since yesterday. If yes, what did you think? Yeah, I saw that. I think it seemed like it wasn't, it didn't seem like comedy. It just seemed like they actually, I don't know. I think if it came across as if they actually are racist, so that's why it's, I think it's fine if you are. I don't think that video was fine, but I think if it's part of a joke that is, the punchline is something else. If the punchline is not the whole point of the joke is to validate racism, I don't think that's a joke. That's just being racist, right? So I don't see that as a joke, and I kind of saw it as them expressing their actual views rather than actually trying to be funny or making a joke. Like when you make a joke that is like has some racist stereotypes in it, the point of the joke is not that to be racist. The point of the joke is something else, and it's just trying to shock you with some stuff that it might come across as racist. I think jokes are fine, but if the whole point of the routine is to be actually convey a racist message, then I don't think that's a joke. I don't know. I don't think like there should be any. I think if again, I can't tell the intentions of people. It came across to me as that's actually their views, but I don't think there should be any consequences to these people other than the social backlash that they're getting. I mean, and also the platform that is hosting them, there is completely within their right to say that this is not what they want on their platform as well. Fanny is saying, guys, make sure you tag Atheist Republic if you guys want to me to comment on something. But yeah, so regards to polygamy, polyamory, anything, I think all of them are fine to experiment with as long as you are 100. You can't be 100% sure about anything, but as long as you're sure that if you're trying to convince your significant other and she or he is not like accepting it, but you're trying to push for it and she reluctantly says okay, then you really have like, that's not the way to do it. That means like she's not comfortable with it or he's not comfortable with it, and you kind of like force it, like you kind of trying to convince yourself that they are okay with it, and you deep down know that they're not okay with it, right? But if you are first of all, if you completely know that this is completely fine with the person that if you're not in a relationship at all, you could just start like that. But if you're already in a relationship, you first have to know that this is not going to hurt your relationship in any way. You're completely secure. You're so in love with each other, and this is nothing. This is just, not going to hurt your relationship anyway. And you also have to be sure that you didn't push the other person into accepting this, that they are as willing to experiment with this as you are, right? One of you shouldn't be more into it than the other one. That's what I think. Or maybe you don't even care, that maybe you're like, you know what, I want this so much, and this relationship that I have right now, it's not that deep, it's not that important. If it breaks apart, it breaks apart. Just don't cheat on anybody. Just to make sure that you are completely transparent about what you're doing. Anything goes as long as you're not hurting people. And cheating hurts people. Man is saying, speaking of greedy, what's your opinion on capitalism versus socialism? Oh my God, are you serious? How much time do you need? How much time do you have? Well, I'm pro capitalism, but okay. First of all, I don't think most people in the United States that call themselves capitalists, at least in politics, I don't think they are capitalists. Most of the capitalists, most of the Republicans that are supposed to be for capitalism are deep into lobbying and favoritism, and so that's not a capitalism at all. But I also recognize, okay, so here's the problem with capitalism. Even though I'm more for capitalism than socialism, here's the problem with capitalism, okay? Capitalism, first of all, the good thing about capitalism is that it has brought more people out of poverty than any other system ever in the world, okay? The problem with capitalism is that it works so well that it creates a gap between rich and poor, And you might be like, how does it work? Well, the thing is that with capitalism, everybody gets richer, but the rich get richer faster than the poor, right? So the poor people also get richer with capitalism, but the rich people get richer faster. So you could see in countries where the economy is free, there's a bigger gap between the rich and poor, but the poor in those countries are better off than the poor in less free countries, economically free countries, right? So the gap is bigger, but the poor are still better off, right? The problem is that there's a couple of problems with this, right? So even though the poor are better off, they feel like they're worse off because they see there's so many people that are better than them, right? If you have a house, a small house, and everybody around you, like if you have just a hut, okay, a small hut, and everybody around you is homeless, you feel like a king. But if you have a hut and everybody around you has a mansion, you feel like you're in poverty, right? You feel like you're the poorest person alive. In one situation, you feel very blessed and happy. In another situation, you feel miserable, even though in both scenarios you had a hut. But the thing is that doesn't mean like, oh, so people are wrong. What, this is illogical. If you have a hut, you should be happy that you have a hut. Well, that's not how the brain works, unfortunately. Okay, so that should be taken into account. That you could be like, well, people shouldn't be should be happy because they're poor, but they're better off than poor people in other countries. The problem is that that's not how our brain are wired. So you should take the capitalism doesn't take into account the misery that comes out of comparing yourself with the people around you. That should be factored in somehow. I don't know how. GDP and stuff like that doesn't that factor that in. Another problem is that capitalism works if you can create competition and if the government doesn't have favoritism for some companies over the other, and if they let companies fail when they are, when they can't perform, if they become too big, you break them apart, you break monopolies. That's when capitalism works, right? So for that to work, the politicians shouldn't get involved in businesses, and they shouldn't have favorites. Like they shouldn't lobby. The whole point of lobbying will go out the window, right? The problem is that when capitalism works so well that these companies become so rich, and when companies have so much money, how are you going to stop money getting into politics? It's like you'd be like, oh, well, like this is the same thing we see about communists. Like communists are like, well, communism works. Like people say communism works, but we have never seen an example. Like only works in this scenario, in this scenario, in this scenario, and that's why we have never seen communism work in the real world. Well, it seems like we're saying the same thing about capitalism sometimes. Like, well, capitalism works. I mean, it does work, but the most ideal version of capitalism is that politicians don't get involved in businesses and they just have their role and making sure there's competition and everything out there. But the thing is that when these companies become so rich, any barrier you introduce to them to not having their money buying out politicians, they're going to break down your barriers because they have enough money to be able to break down your barriers. So that's why some socialism in politics to keep. It's good to have some socialist elements in politics to just adjust for that. That's what I think. Chopin saying many Hindu atheists defend Hinduism by saying it includes atheism. Well, it does in some texts. I finally found the text where it outcasts atheists. Oh, okay, that's interesting. Let's bring you on and you could discuss it once you get a better microphone. By the way, I know I am supposed to send you the cash for buying a better microphone. So let's bring you on and we could discuss that. So that's interesting. But it's very like Hindus. They say like, oh, Hinduism accepts atheists. I don't give a damn that it accepts. It's like saying like my belief in leprechauns is not against your atheism. Okay, it's still ridiculous to believe in leprechauns. So when Hindus say like, oh, Hinduism accepts atheism, thank you so much. You're still as ridiculous as any other religion. Mars is saying, Armin, you seem to be a healthy guy when it comes to nutrition. Do you think people apply critical thinking here? It seems to be another area where rationality is sometimes ignored. Yes, so much. Oh my God. And there's so much misinformation. And actually, this is so confusing. I also got like I kept on saying like check your sources, blah blah blah. But I also got distracted by a lot of false information, because when it comes to nutrition, there are some really really bad advice that look very scientific. The problem with the nutrition world is that you could find a study to back anything that you want, and it's so confusing for people that are getting into it, and they're watching these YouTubers, and they're every single one of them is citing a study that supports what they're saying, and they all contradict each other. But if you just go down a rabbit hole and follow a certain community, you think they must be right. They only check the description and they keep linking to sources that are all legit. And then but then you have to figure out like, okay, I actually have to listen to the people that disagree with them. And you see like, wait a minute, they also have links to sources that is backed by science. And then you keep, this is how you realize like, okay, so it's not enough for you to have research that backs you up. You have to look at the bigger picture. Actually going down the nutrition, finding out what nutrition works and what doesn't, made me more aware about how important it is not to just look at studies, but to know how to look at studies. It's very difficult. Okay. And again, don't trust me if I say like, hey, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. You have to learn how to do your research. If I say, oh, I'm eating this and it's working, and you're like, well, Armin is doing this research, so I'm just going to do what Armin does. That's exactly what you shouldn't be doing. Okay. That's exactly what you shouldn't be doing. You shouldn't be like, okay, I trust Armin because Armin seems to have done his own research. No, you should go do your research. Vikram saying, yeah, I felt wait, that's not okay. Tag Atheist Republic, guys, if you guys want me to read something. Whoa, this live chat is going fast. I'm behind. Would you, okay, Chris is saying, I'm going to read faster. Would you ever consider going to the Atheist Experience with Matt Dillahunty? Matt Dillahunty has blocked me, and he's never going to talk to me again, apparently, because I did an interview with David Silverman. So he first unfriended me, and then he blocked me, which is such a shame because he's one of my heroes. He's still my hero, even though he blocked me. So I don't think I would be invited there. Donnie is saying, what are your thoughts on keeping sanctions on Iran during this pandemic? Biden also seems to be pro-sanctions right now by his recent comments. I am actually pro the sanctions. As long as, so the sanctions shouldn't be on food and medicine, and the sanctions aren't on food and medicine. I know there's still some difficulty with food and medicine, but technically the sanctions are not on food and medicine. The Iran has way, more money in than they even need to address the pandemic, and they're not using it. Because they're using it on foreign intervention and spending it on their military, their empire building around the Middle East. I've actually recently saw a lot of, studies that shows and research that shows that the estimates for how much money they have collected, and there are so many charity organizations that they have collected billions of dollars in Iran that were supposed to be spent on people. Like the whole point of these charities was that it's supposed to be spent on people at the times of need. And people are like, well, this is now, right now. We have this is exactly what these charities were set up for, weren't they? And there's so many of them, and every single one of them has a religious name. And none of them is being, first of all, none of them are transparent. None of them are being spent on the people. And there's a lot of evidence that they're all being spent on the Quds army, on spending on the Fatimiyun military, and Hezbollah, and they're building Islamic centers in Karbala, the Zahra Islamic Education System Center in Karbala. They're building many other mosques. Jose Elmieh, what's that? Jose Elmieh is called religious seminaries. They're being spent on so many things, and now people are demanding in Iran, like, why? Okay, this is the time that we need you guys to spend this money. So if you remove the sanctions, there's no guarantee. In fact, very unlikely that the money that they make out of it is going to be spent on relieving the pain of people. Even the money they already have is not being spent on people, right? I mean, they already have enough money, like they to right now to cover all the costs, and they're not spending it on that. People are like, it's a lot of people are now demanding, where's all this money that you guys have? Like, now we need it now. So yeah, I'm pro the sanctions. As long as you make sure the sanctions does not cover food and medicine. Chopin is saying, would you should make a video taking the political compasses. Oh yeah, I should do that. That's a good idea. Great points. Reason. Okay. Reason first, and yeah. Okay. So sorry guys, I should only read because I'm going to fall behind. So I should only be reading the comments with Atheist Republic. So if you want me to read it, make sure. Okay. What do you think about Steven Pinker book Enlightenment Now? If you have read it, yes, I have read it. It's my goddamn Bible. I love that book, and I keep recommending it every time somebody says like, "Oh, the world is such a." I try not to swear. Such a crappy place. That's the book I recommend, and that's also a book I recommend for people to see how Enlightenment values have made the world a much better place. What are you guys curious about? What are you guys referring to? Did I miss something? Matt's saying, I'm curious. I can't recall Armin siding with either. With who? What are you guys? Which comment are you guys talking about? I'm curious now. Okay. Capitalism will never work because, again, this is not my comment. I'm just reading a comment. Because there is a belief in inherent value due to the competitive aspect. People aren't born with the same skill as others. Social democracy is the best. Social democracy is a capitalistic model. It's a capitalism plus some adjustments. So I don't know what you're talking about. Social democracy, you're talking about like the Bernie Sanders model, right? Bernie Sanders is a capitalist. He just doesn't like to use that word, but he's a capitalist. Are you talking about the Scandinavian model? Because those are capitalist countries. And yeah, capitalism will never work because there is a belief in inherent value due to the competitive aspect. I have no idea what you're talking about. Inherent value due to the competitive aspect. What are you trying to say? If you're trying to say the market doesn't see everything, and it doesn't adjust for everything, like the value. So the inherent value of what due to the competitive aspect? Are you saying the inherent value of goods, the inherent value of services due to the competitive aspect? Are you saying the inherent value of the competitive aspect? You have to be more clear. But if you're saying the market is blind to the value of many services and goods, that is absolutely true. And if you actually read how capitalism is supposed to work, it takes into account that the market is blind to positive and negative externalities, and that's where the role of the government is to come in and adjust for that. That's why a lot of people think like if you believe in capitalism, people feel like, oh, you don't think you shouldn't have government. They're like, what are you talking about? That's anarchism. Okay, if you in the capitalistic model, the government definitely has a role. The government has a responsibility to first create safety and create an environment where people could trade, but also the government is supposed to come in and adjust for the areas where the market is blind to, right? So, for example, the whole concept is that every trade, if it's voluntarily, makes the two sides come out of the trade better off, okay? Or else we wouldn't be doing the trade, okay? So more trade is good. So less barriers to trade is good because everybody comes out of the trade better off than they were before. However, the market sees the trade. That's what the market means. Market sees the trades. So if you let the market free, more trade will happen. More people will be better off. But the problem is the market doesn't see the third party that is being affected by the trade. Okay, the market is blind to the third party, and this is called externalities. So you have positive externalities and negative externalities. Negative externalities like pollution. Let's say I do trade with you, but let's say because of our trade, we cause pollution, and there are people that are being affected by our pollution. The market is blind to this negative externality. And the market is also blind to the positive externality. Let's say you pay me and I educate you, okay? But because of this extra education, the whole society benefits from this. So there's a third party that is being benefiting that is not taking part in this trade between me and you. So the market is blind to this positive externality. So the government has a role to come in and tax the negative externality, so that it becomes less than actually would happen naturally in the market, and subsidize the positive externalities, so it happens more than it would have happened naturally in the market. Anyways, Matt is saying, what do you think of democratic socialism? I think I already responded to that. The democratic government, social, not no, okay, democratic. Oh no, I was talking about social democracy. Yeah, I'm more of a social democracy type than democratic socialist type. I don't believe in socialist economy. I do believe a healthy government has some socialist parties in it. No, Bernie Sanders calls himself a democratic socialist, but he's not a democratic socialist. He's a social democrat. A lot of his followers keep telling him to stop using the democratic socialist label, okay? And they're right. His followers are right. Vikram is saying, because he himself says that he likes the Scandinavian model, so he's not a social democrat. He's not a democratic socialist. He's a social democrat. Vikram is saying, it would be fun to watch atheists talk about Hinduism. Atheist content creators always talk about Islamic Christianity. Well, that's why we have Chopin. And we should, Chopin, me and you should just have like just the two of us, some shows that we talk about Hinduism. Yeah, but I agree with you, Vikram. James is saying, would you want people with severely disabled, low life expectancy children to lose religion when there basically isn't any other way for them to feel positive about life? What do you mean that? Okay, actually the question continues. When you're healthy, you can find meaning in other things, but when you're born with some disorder and your life is going to be painful and short, the only way to you can feel positive is heaven. No, it's not. I mean, what do you, okay, I think, are you, James, are you yourself disabled in any way? Because if you're not, then I think you're thinking too low of disabled people. I think disabled people have a lot of ways that they could, like there are a lot of ways. In fact, I think religion is one of the worst ways to give people hope. Why? There's much more better, more scientific, more modern, healthier ways for people to give people something to look forward to. And if you yourself are severely disabled, then I think you need to. I mean, you yourself, you seem not to believe in religion. So, do you think like you need religion? I don't know. I think I have more. I give more credit to severely disabled people than you are giving them, because I think there are many ways that they could find meaning in life than religion. I mean, if whatever problems there are when it comes to mental or social problems, what the best answers are answers that are based on reality. I mean, we have a lot of people. I mean, Susanna could respond to this, because there are a lot of people that are studying the best ways that you could address these things, and you're thinking that, oh, maybe we could answer people's like mental or problems or social problems or whatever, lack of meaning, lack of help. You think you could go to Bronze Age books, you could find answers written by people that had no idea how the human mind works, how society works, how the universe works, how nature works. You think that's the best we have? I'm pretty sure we have better answers to this than those books. Okay, let me see. How fluent is your Arabic? Not fluent at all. I aced all my Arabic exams in Iran, but the reason why I aced them is because we just learned how to pass the exams. Oh, I'm going to highlight this even though I wasn't tagged. Donnie saying, thanks for an awesome answer, Armin. Yay, thank you, Donnie. Hemin is saying, exactly, Islamic nationalism is destroying Iran and they don't care about their own people. I think this is in reference to lifting the sanctions comment that I had. Susanna saying Matt was curious about capitalism versus. Oh, I did answer that. Chris is saying I'll just be listening driving home. I really enjoy hearing your thoughts. Don't type anything if you're driving. Be careful. Don't die. Okay? Don't die. Social democracy is capitalist too. Yeah, I agree. That's what I said. What do you think about the Nation of Islam? I think they're horrible and they need to. What do you mean? I mean, it's a racist group. I mean, isn't that obvious to everybody? Do you have more? Do you want to be more specific about your question? Because I could just give you a short answer, and I think like they're a horrible racist organization that needs to. I hope their organization dies. I don't hope they die. Please don't take me out of context. I just hope their whole movement dies. Shubham is saying, by the way, the reason some people might be saying, like, why are you saying Shubham when the name says Ronnie? Because I know Ronnie's real name. Do you think had the Zoroastrians not stopped Buddhist monks from spreading BDSM, what? More to the west, the Western countries would be less Christian? What is is BDSM short for Buddhism? Is that what? Okay, I don't know what you're asking, Shubham. What is it? I don't know what you're asking, BDSM. Okay. Mars saying Armin Thomas Sowell's books come highly recommended when learning about economics. I'm curious if you have any books that you recommend for crash course in econ. I mean, I have a minor in, I took all the courses for a minor in economics in university. I also have a finance degree and a math degree. Minor in math. Well, I took all the courses for a math minor in university. But that's all I know from that. So I could recommend you my textbooks, university textbooks. Those are the books I read. But if you okay, here's what I could tell you. So if you want a crash course, you don't even have to read a book. What you could do is you could go to just search for crash courses on YouTube, crash courses economics. Then you should get a playlist. I think that's going to be the fastest way for you to get on track with basics in economics. But yeah, the books I read were all university textbooks, so I don't know any of non-university textbooks. Matt Rose is saying, "What you read a book? Have you read a book called The Confession of an Economic Hitman? It's all about how U.S. used predatory capitalism to gain the upper hand on global economics." No, I haven't read that. I'm not okay. I have to come. AAA. I'm gonna say refer to this person as AAA. AAA is saying capitalism is conserved, but more social policies are implemented. I can argue that the U.S. is socialist. There are many socialist policies here. I also meant that we aren't equal. Well, it's not a socialist country. It's a capitalist country with some socialist elements, which is a good thing. But it's a bad thing. The problem with the United States is that, it's more capitalist than most countries, but the problems with U.S. economy is the parts that not with the welfare part, but the parts that it moved away from capitalism are responsible for most of the problems, right? For example, the overspending on the military, or the bailing out of the giant companies that fail, or the monopolies that are not being broken apart, like the giant companies that are being deemed too big to fail. All these problems that people have, like, oh my God, this is capitalism is so bad. Look at these giant companies; they're deemed to be too big to fail. Yeah, because that's not capitalism. The government doesn't. They're supposed to be broken apart. If people say, like, is capitalism for the poor, socialism for the rich? Yeah, that's exactly the problem. The problem is the United States is not applying capitalism equally to a lot of giant corporations, right? Another problem is all the lobbyists. That goes against capitalism, right? The government shouldn't be like playing favorites with different private companies. They should just, that people are like, oh my god, capitalism so bad. Look at all these giant companies buying out politicians. Yeah, that's a problem. That's against capitalism. So many people, the Republicans who are waving the flag of capitalism are they're so far from capitalism, and they defend capitalism. So it's weird. Okay, British Pakistani atheist is saying, I'm an ex-Muslim but have recently started running an online Islamic store selling mainly black seed oil. And what is this a joke? Would this be considered dishonest and hypocritical? I don't know if you're trolling or not. Mainly black seed. Oh yeah, wait, black seed oil. Yeah, this is a joke. What am I talking about? Of course, it's a joke. Chopin was saying, do you think had the Zoroastrians not stopped Buddhist monks from spreading Buddhism, why did you? Okay, in the earlier question, why did you refer to Buddhism as BDSM? I'm actually gonna do that. That's funny. More to the west. Not of the Buddhist monk. I have no idea actually, Chopin. You seem to know more about this than I do, so I don't know how to answer that. Yeah, I have no idea. Zoroastrians stopped the Buddhists? That's interesting. I want to know more about this. You actually have to. I have no answer for you because I don't know this, and you actually, it seems like you have to educate me on something that I'm not aware of. Raymond is saying Chris is also crazy, not crazy nor stupid to text and drive. What? Don't text and drive. I don't know what you're saying, but don't text and drive. Please. Please, please, please. Unfettered capitalism. Yeah, that's bad. I don't like that. The government should. There's a lot of roles for you. If you believe in capitalism, that doesn't mean the government could be like, yeah, do whatever you want. I'm just gonna sit back and not manage anything. That's not capitalism. Okay. Capitalism doesn't mean anarchy. There's a role for government to step in and tell people to cut it out and like find people, break apart companies. So yeah, I'm not for unfettered capitalism. Matt is saying, here are 2 answers for BDSM. Okay, wait, don't guys. Let's see. Yeah. Do you think that would offend Buddhists if we refer to Buddhism as BDSM? Okay, so this is the last question, so I'm going to end it here. Okay, I'm just going to do this question and the next one. I'm Eric from Thailand. Do you go to other countries for the purpose of meeting with other atheists or what? Here where I live, I just couldn't find other atheists. Yeah, I did. I was just recently in Thailand, actually. I have a lot of videos on Buddhism in Thailand that I haven't managed to release yet because because we're struggling right now, and we need to find a way to recover. By the way, on that note, link to our Patreon in the description. So please help us out with that. But again, if you are suffering financially, if you're financially under pressure in any way, please do not support us financially. You can support us by just liking the video and sharing it. But yeah, as soon as we recover, I'm gonna get back to editing. I'm gonna find some time to edit those videos and release them. Yeah, Thailand was a lot of fun. I really enjoy Thailand. I want to go back as many times as possible, especially now that I'm very close to Thailand. So this is the last question, but I'm going to read, and it's saying, should there be a seat for atheism in the UN? There already is, I think, by Atheist International. Yeah. Why don't you move towards legal representation there? We have actually. Atheist Republic has been mentioned in the United Nations Security Council when our by Humanist International. I think that's the new name. They used to have a really crappy name. They brought our case to the United Nations when our Kuala Lumpur consulate, Atheist Republic's Kuala Lumpur consulate, was attacked and the government wanted to hunt down our members in Kuala Lumpur. So, and we were the first atheist organization that was ever mentioned in the United Nations Security Council. So we have done that, and we have been planning to get a lot more political. All of our plans have been taking a back seat now because we lost a lot of our donors and supporters because of this whole COVID stuff. So again, if you want to support us so that we could eventually stop struggling to figure out how to pay for our expenses and stop moving to a more political activism, again, link is in the description. Consider supporting us. Vikram is saying thank you for having this live stream. You're welcome. And yeah, that was what am I currently watching on Netflix? Oh, I'm not watching Netflix. I'm watching Westworld, HBO. History. Okay, why am I keep reading? I keep saying that was the last question. Rush Williams. Well, if you want me to bring a guest, please tag me at Armin Navabi and them, whoever you want me to bring on Twitter, and recommend to them that to come on our show, and then we could, if they show a willingness to come, then we'll see what happens. I'll follow them, and they could message me on Twitter. All right, love you guys. Wait, what am I doing? Okay. Yeah, I'm never gonna get the last question. Yeah, okay. So thank you guys. This was fun. It's always fun to hang out with you guys. By the way, from next week, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna maybe start with a monologue about something that is on my mind just for 5 minutes before I go to the questions in live chat. That way I could come up with a title for these videos as well. Instead of just live stream, I could be like, the title could be something with the monologue. Next week, I think I'm going to talk about Holocaust remembrance for 5 minutes and my thoughts on it and why we have to remember the Holocaust, or why shouldn't we? Should we? What's the point? Like, why don't we have like remembrance for other mass genocides and stuff like that? Again, you could. Yeah. So if you want to, by the way, if you guys want to see my views on it, make sure that you're not just subscribed. Subscribing is not enough because YouTube is like, YouTube probably wouldn't notify you. If you want to make sure you catch my live streams, hit the notification bell as well. And when you hit the notification bell, make sure you select all, because when you hit it first, it will just say highlights. You have to switch it from highlights to all to make sure you don't miss anything. And also subscribe to our newsletter. Link is in the description. Anyways, love you guys. Talk to you soon. Bye.